My Instagram bio is such a wasted real estate. I'm going to rent it out. Going from a sentence to a Cold Ones video, that is my job. Lachlan, who from Fairbairn Films, like we were very good friends all through school, and part of the thing we connected on was YouTube stuff. I wasn't getting paid at all through this whole time. I was like, okay, time to like go study. So I went to uni for 3 weeks. This ain't right.
So you did all the, videos with Fairbairn. That was coming to an end.
But obviously it's like difficult to have to close the door to open the next one. Like, I need to like post a video and explain this stuff. Like, what am I going to do for myself? What can I do that I'm responsible for this? That was the whole thing of making my own YouTube videos on the side. Something I always had a passion for. I was always so hesitant to rent somewhere because I was like, this YouTube income is so up and down. Things haven't like improved. I'm just going to go back to like get a real job. I was like, all I had to do was put myself out there and the right person see it and an opportunity come to me. So one day I got a message out of nowhere from Scott from Cold Ones. I remember just being like, this could be like the next thing, like crazy. All of this work is now not for nothing. It's this, the big break has happened. This is my life now. Man, I do not deserve to be here, bro. Like, this is crazy.
Hello, everyone. Sadly, Andre...
Got some really sad news about Andre,
this is really sad. We have an empty seat there, and he is undergoing his procedure currently. He talked about it last episode. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. And he's been dealing with some things. He's getting a procedure done, and so he might not be in the episodes for a while. We don't know how long yet. Do you know how long?
I think like 2 to 3 weeks, he said. So
2 to 3 weeks.
Next 3 episodes, we've got to find some unlucky people to come and sit with us.
Well, we try to find like a sexy hunk to come in today's episode, and I think we found him.
I think we actually found one.
Do you mind if I give him a little intro right now? So today we have joining us a very special guest. He is the producer he was producer of Fairbairn Films, and now he's a producer of Cold Ones. He himself has a YouTube channel. It's got millions of views.
He's big.
He's a big guy, and you work with him.
And I work with him.
So can we please introduce Darcy Ahrns?
Oh, shit.
Damn,
what do you think about that intro? It could have been better, maybe.
That was kind of crazy. Yeah, I think if I'm being nitpicky,
how do you like to be introduced?
Introductions, man, I'm never good at. I'm never good at putting into words or thoughts who I am and what I do. I'm just kind of like, I guess. So good job.
He wrote that introduction, by the way.
Yeah, I sent that to them.
The whole space you're in is like the creator YouTube space, and you started out quite a long time ago. I believe when you were 7 years old. Is that when you started your YouTube channel?
First ever thing I recorded and have history of having recorded is me preparing lunch in one of the school holidays in like 2012, or I can't exactly actually remember the year, but then later on I went and I found that footage and I recorded a video 2 years ago of me editing that, and then it did so well. I said, if this gets X amount of likes, I'll just raw upload this thing. So I just uploaded this edited video of me in 2012, I think it was. Must have been, yeah. And it got like hundreds of thousands of views, just that, like no context. People are like, is this his little brother, or like, what is this? Like, just
did you look the same when you were younger, or no?
Different.
You can tell like the
can we put a photo of you?
Do we pull things up? Like,
we do. Yeah, so producer Lincoln does pull things up.
It's very Darcy. Like you can see that's very much.
If you just go to my YouTube channel, like just Darcy Ahrns.
No way, that's you.
Anyway, yeah. So
that's your editing.
This is me from 2012 with editing from 2020 or whenever it was, 3 years ago, that I like decided I would make a video of me editing this video.
Well, this has 118,000 views.
Yeah, with no context. None of this context I've said. It's just, I just thought it would be funny to upload the finished thing. Anyway.
That's a really cute video.
Yeah, but that's like the oldest footage of myself talking to a camera, trying to do something that I know. So I don't know. I just watched a lot of YouTube growing up, and I was like, and I just was a kind of kid that could talk and I don't know. It just, I have no idea. It just felt like the right thing I wanted to do. But the whole reason where it plays into turning into like the career path thing is with Lachlan, who from Fairbairn Films, Lachlan Fairbairn. Like we were very good friends all through school, and part of the thing we connected on was YouTube stuff. So
did they start that channel during the time you're in school? Like, Like, when did they start?
Yeah.
And like, were you at the beginning of that, or were they already kind of big and then you joined?
Yeah.
What was that?
So basically, how it worked out is maybe in like year 9/10, year 10. Initially, me and Lockie tried to start making videos, and I distinctly remember we would make a video, and I'd be like, "We can't post that." Like, I was so self-conscious to be in these things.
Yeah.
So then he was like, "Oh, yeah," and he was a bit the similar. So then he had this massive epiphany. Oh, I could just film my younger brother doing whatever dumb shit and upload it, and he doesn't even know or care. So
wait, how old was his younger brother?
oh God, it would have been like if we were maybe, let's say we were like 14, 15, he would have been like 11, 12, I think.
Okay, so it's not like child
few years
manipulation. It's
Nah.
he knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like, that's how Fairbairn Films started. It was like me and Lockie wanted to make these videos, but no, didn't have the, like, I remember filming skits and shit and just being like, yeah, we're not uploading this. Lockie would be filming Jackson, and then that kind of went for a year and a bit and started growing on Facebook. Then Lockie's like, oh, it slowly just transitioned to, Lockie and Jackson would be in these skits and I would film and help with a bit of stuff.
You're doing like editing and stuff like that? Or yeah,
the editing, like really, in the early days, like through the end of school, I would rock up and just help and hold a camera. Lockie did all the editing, writing, all that. He's like done.
Did you go to like was it a big school where like, did everyone know that, like, were you big enough that everyone knew that you were the guys that were making videos?
Yeah, well, that actually reminds me. Like, we would like make videos for school competitions that would get played in front of. I remember distinctly, like, I forget what it was. We had to make a litter prevention ad, and we did one where I was a gang leader called the like litter prevention gang. Right. So I was like a gang leader, and there was this guy litter, and I was like, "Boys, get him!" And it was just like this stupid like goof, and it got played in front of our like assembly, like to the whole school.
Yeah.
And in a few scenarios too, like Lockie's videos that like hit like 180,000 views on Facebook got mentioned and played in our like assembly. Like, look at this student like doing something cool, like whatever. But yeah, long story short, that just kind of developed from, Lockie filming Jackson to me filming Lockie and Jackson to then all three of us kind of sharing the load.
Yeah. So you started being in the videos and like,
yeah.
And you're still doing like the filming, like this is like the starting of you like producing, you say for them or?
Yeah, I would say like, my job for them, like, cause basically like when I finished school, I just went and lived my life and I wasn't getting paid at all through this whole time. I was just sort of doing it. So I was like, okay, time to like go study. So I went to uni for 3 weeks. I was doing a business and entrepreneur course, and I was like, I hate everyone here, and this sucks.
And you left to be a lifter?
Liftie, yeah. So
Liftie.
So I dropped out, and I was like, man, this is so embarrassing. I've told all my friends and family I'm going to uni, and now I'm like, I'm done with it. I have to like run away. I have to like do something away that's like, at least I did this. So I had this.
Did you move away to a place where you didn't know anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so that was when I got the job as a lift operator in Mount Hotham.
Yeah.
That was like my getaway. Like, I've just committed to this thing and then bailed on it in 3 weeks because I didn't want the debt. And there was like a date. It was a census date. They're like, hey, if you leave by now, there's no debt. And I'm like, this is my get out of jail free card. Like, this was a bad idea. This was like all years of during school being like, uni. Oh, the lifestyle, the this, the that. And I'm like, nah, this ain't it. Like, this is not entrepreneurial at all. Like, I'm supposed to be doing a fucking business and entrepreurial course. And I'm like, the first thing I'm doing is like, just getting told all this stuff. And I'm like, this ain't right. So yeah, I did that and did a few other jobs, just regular stuff, studied a bit.
And you took a break from any type of video creation or like producing.
At that point, I think I hadn't done any of my own stuff. And in the gap between doing 2 snow seasons is when I started my YouTube channel.
Yeah, your own YouTube channel.
My own YouTube channel. Like when I actually started posting regularly because I was like in this gap between work and it just kind of so happened.
Yeah.
Then I went back to another year of the snow. I came back and I was like, okay, I've done a bit of fun stuff. It's time to like figure out my career and study. Yeah. Which is when I started studying drafting, like architectural drafting.
Yes.
So then I was doing that. And then right at the pointy end of that, I'd done a few houses because I like know a builder. So I was working for them doing some stuff. And then right at that pointy end of like graduating that and going like, okay, I'm going to go into a full-time job in this. Like I remember sitting down with Lockie and him being like, you could maybe like help in these things and we'll give you like this like percentage of, the income. And it was like, this moment of like, I was doing the maths. I was like, if I like speak to people about brand deals and do this, I get every brand deal I do, I get this amount on the top. And like, if we make this many videos, we get this much ad revenue. I get like a piece of this.
Yeah, I just made a year's salary.
And then so I had this.
So you're more you're incentivized to like to join them, you're incentivized to grow their business and grow the, get more views and make the videos better. And like now you're aligned.
Yeah. And I do not want to make it seem like it was like a business thing. It was literally was just friends hanging out, and we just figured out a way that I could make a bit of money so I could devote my time to that. There was no real like ideas of growth. There was no business mind at all to it.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is a fun thing we enjoy doing. The activity of doing it is fun. We can make money. Let's do it. There was
and now you don't have to be a lift operator. Like
I mean, that was good.
I want to be a lift operator.
Yeah, it's good. It's hard days though. Like literally just standing in a blizzard just for 9 hours, just like
with the little shovel.
Got to be on guard. Like people could die if you're not like on guard to like stop the thing. Like or
were there any like weird? Because I remember from skiing, you always see like a skier get their skis crossed and they get like crushed under the lift. Like
I have a pretty good story of like when I like kind of got a bit in trouble, but I just sort of went out of my way to resolve a solution. So there was a situation. So there was like a father and like a girl skiing, and she was maybe like 3 or 4, like very, very young, like could not get, he had to like lift her onto the lift and whatnot. They both get on, do their thing. I go to the next customer, and then I'm go to look back up, and he's off, and there's just this 3-year-old girl on a lift by herself with the bar up.
How was he off?
He had fallen off.
Hey, he fell off. Yeah.
So like this is like this lift. It's like a pretty choppy day, and this lift is long, and it's like you can't send a child up without thinking.
Which one was it?
Did you not hit like a thud? Like
50 meters.
Yeah, massive. It was on for people that know at Mount Hotham. It was on the Orchard lift, which is like right out the back. Anyway, so I immediately stopped the lift and go, okay, shit. There's this kid. We need to get it down. It was like too high. It was maybe like 2 of me high. And the valley where like that leads up to the lift going back up is filling up with people. It was like a busy day. So I'm like, okay, procedure says I have to ring my supervisor. They have to come out, do all this shit to get the person down. I was like,
were you freaking the fuck out?
I was like, what? I was like,
and was it just you?
No. So there was like 2 other people running on this lift with me. Basically, long story short, what we decided to do is with the dad's like, he wanted to get the daughter down ASAP. Yeah. So he was on my team too. He was like, you get on my shoulders. The other 2 guys support me, and we'll get her down. So I get on this guy's shoulders.
Whoa.
He stands up with 2 other lifties like supporting him. So they're like holding like this Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm like, 3 meters off the ground, eye level with this this chairlift, and there's this 3-year-old girl, and I'm like, hi. Like,
is she crying, screaming?
She just was like
she
just
did not know
not saying anything, just kind of and I'm like, hi, like, I'm gonna get you back down to your dad, okay? And then she just kind of just sat there, and I'm like, what do I do? And then the dad's like trying to talk to her, and eventually I just grab a ski and just sort of like drag her down the chairlift and like down the chair, and then to me, and then get her down enough, and then get low and pass down and lowered enough to get her down to safety, and all is good. Like no one's injured, and the lift starts up again and goes.
Darcy, you're a hero.
I don't know about that, but it turns out someone was filming the whole thing. Yeah, it was a good outcome, but it wasn't like the procedures we should do. At the end of the day, like I get called into the office, and the boss like of lift operations is like,
you didn't get fired, did you?
No. It was basically like, look, it all worked out well, not how it should, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you shouldn't have done that, but good on you for like it worked out okay. But that's
did you get like a slap on the wrist or anything? Like, did you get?
Nah, it was just like a next time, mate. Like, wait, I know it's like hard. The valley's loading up with people that want to ski, but like next time, wait for the supervisor to get there.
Yeah. That's a stressful situation and you're probably like what, 18, 19,
I think
20,
19. Yeah, 19.
That'd be a really stressful situation to be in.
I mean, a little bit, but also when it was like sorted, it was like, oh, that was like a.
So when you say the dad fell off, it wasn't like when he fell off, it's not that high that he would like be injured.
It's like, the way I imagine it is he's worrying about getting his daughter, and he's like standing upright, lifted her up, put her on the chair, and the chair goes pretty low for a little bit, and then he might have got his ski stuck and just toppled off to the side, and the chairlift kept going.
Yes.
So so him falling off wasn't like an injury thing. It was just kind of like he just kind of toppled to the side, and the chairlift kept going.
I thought when he said that, like someone like plummeted to the ground. That's an interesting story that throughout your lift operator. So they call it liftie. You were a liftie.
Yeah. Towie as well.
Yeah.
Liftie and towie. This is Is that Australian slang?
Aussies love an E.
Adding like an E at the end.
Yeah. Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy, liftie, towie. So you did that for a while, and at this point, Fairbairn. Am I saying that right? Fairbairn.
Yeah.
Fairbairn. What size are they? That like you're like, oh, okay, like when you're coming back, because you did the stuff in high school. You went off to be a liftie, and you did university. You did all this. You were going to be a draftsman and all that stuff. And then you're coming back to do work with them. Yeah. Are they like huge now, or was it enough for them to make a living off it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were making a living that a teenager needs when you live at home off it. And then like when I come back and we looked at it, it was like, oh, we can actually like make a good like living,
you can, like create a career out of this type thing.
So I would say like I definitely remember hitting 1 million subscribers. Like I was involved. Like that was all I did.
Yeah.
So it was before that. It was probably a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube they had when it was like time for me to join in and actually get like paid. And that became my full-time job for like 3 years.
Right.
Which was all through COVID, which is the other thing that like we struck gold like
you live close by, right?
Yeah, we live like, it was like a 5-minute walk for me to go to their house.
And so you'd have nothing to do. You go to their place during COVID and everyone's watching TikTok, watching YouTube. Yeah.
And basically like every second day we would film. Like every second day, a skit would come out of thin air and be uploaded.
Wow.
And then every other second day, I would be, if I wasn't like doing brand deal stuff or, emailing or whatever, we would just be hanging out.
So you're kind of like a manager as well?
Well, kind of like, basically like the whole thing was the brand deals thing was like, it was just a way that I could be in control of how much money I was making. Cause that's something I've always been, I'm always cautious about where is my money going to come from? Like, how am I going to make a living? Like I was always, in that period of time, I was always so hesitant to rent somewhere because I was like, how am I going to know I'm going to make this like rent?
Yes.
This YouTube income is so up and down. So the brand deals thing, like obviously it was a way of me to show value to Lachie and Jackson. Like, hey, here's this thing I did that made you guys a lump sum of money, but also it was a guarantee of me making myself a chunk of money. And it wasn't too frequent, like maybe 1 or 2 videos a month would have like an ad integration. But it was enough that it like was like, oh, cool. I made that money. I made them that money. Me getting a cut of YouTube AdSense and whatnot is validated. Like it's not just because I'm filming or because I'm helping edit or because this, like, it's kind of like,
And there's probably like 2 important distinctions. One is, so when you joined, it's not like you're getting a salary, right? That's why you're worried about where is my money coming from. Right? Like this is not, you're not getting a set amount of money every week guaranteed as like a normal job. You took a leap of faith here and you're like, all right, I'm going to, I think the term is like you eat what you kill, right? Like that's kind of what you were doing. And then so that was happening. And then like, I'm guessing that like the brand deals, you guys are growing and then you never had experience, I'm assuming, in like brokering brand deals. Like
No.
You had no, So
no, like, I remember like, I would just watch you. I would just be watching YouTube and whatever brands I saw in other YouTubers' videos, I would reach out to an email and say,
"That's pretty smart."
Because it's like stuff like Dollar Shave Club, Honey, like all this stuff that back then was like in every second video you watch. And I was like, just find whatever email is tied to their website, send a I would send an email to like 20 different brands, and like 2 would get back. But from that, got a few. But then when you started doing them, people would come to you with it. And we had this one guy from a network in the UK that came to us, and he ended up giving us like, I swear, like over the whole like 2.5 year period, like 50 brand deals, and long-term commitment things with a specific brand. That's
so like, over a few videos or a few months or whatever.
They're like, we want to sponsor a video every month. And that was like where it was like, oh, this is now easy because you're repeating that process. Because with every individual brand, they've got their own ways they want to see, they want to see it edited at the end, or they want this or they want that. But when you're doing the same like network doing to the same brands, the rinse and repeat like talking points and stuff like that.
And I'm curious, when brands come to you and they say, hey, we want to work, we want to do this deal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the actual like content creation process around what the integration looks like. Is that on the talent being you guys, is that on your end to like you guys figure out what to do, or do they guide you on like what to say?
Sort of
What's
depends.
the split on like the how it comes to be? Because I don't know how that works.
Like a good marketing team person knows like the reason why I'm in a position that you're emailing me about your brand sponsoring this is because we made those decisions and it worked out well. So like have your your goal, what you want out of it, but let us make the creative decisions. But some people have too many cooks in the kitchen that they're trying to be like, oh, this could be cool and do this or do this or do this. It really there's no yes or no answer. It's really just depends on.
But the best ones
the agency
have worked out when they're like, hey, you guys do your thing because you guys know your audience. You guys will do your thing best, and then we'll kind of if you prove that it's working, we'll keep coming back and buying more ads. Is that kind of how it works?
Like a prime example, bleep the brand name.
Yeah, okay.
So like we did.
Whoa, that's a big sponsor.
With them, we did two dedicated, there's been more, but two dedicated videos that were close together. One of them was like a skit we did that just included the product and we just did it however we wanted it. And then the other one was like, they planned all this, like this shoot day, this visual effects, all this stuff around this big like thing. And we flew to Sydney and did this thing. And it was just so much more moving parts that was unnatural to how we would make videos. Right. It just did not.
It always comes out terrible. Like, and all the kind of Call of Duty ads I've seen with like gamers in it, it's like, just get them to play it on their stream. Like, what's your...
Yeah. So like that is a good example of like when they were like, oh yeah, this is the thing. What's your idea? Film it in your normal environment you film videos in the normal style. And it went astronomically better than when they were like, we got this big idea. Come here. We've got a production team. We've got this. We can do this. We can do that. Yeah. It just was not a natural like fit.
People will notice if you Fairbairn was on an iPhone, if you start filming on a nicer camera, they're going to be like, something weird about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know like what year this was when this was all happening? Just to like, because I want to know like what stage content creators or like what was the impression from the mainstream world about content? Because like if people are flying you out at this point, like that's the kind of like that's the kind of a cool moment like when you're flying because of this, you know?
There was a few things like I even remember we got flown to go to Falls Festival. Yeah. So 2019 New Year's, the three of us got flown to Tasmania and like given a rental car and given like VIP tents and VIP access and like backstage passes to this music festival just to film interviews with music artists and stuff. Like,
so you were meeting like kind of famous people as well, right?
We were lined up with different people to film like interviews with and whatnot. I honestly don't even know. None of the interviews end up put anywhere. I think
they're like, we can't use
this is right. We were, oh my God. We filmed this. So we were supposed to film a vlog, right? Yeah. So we'd filmed all this stuff. And I think it was our first interview. The flight was delayed. So we got there hell late. And it was like our first interview slot. And we go to sit down to film and the SD card is full. And then we're just like, okay, I remember me and Lockie like made this eye contact. Like, did we just format it and just nuke everything we've recorded to not look like idiots in front of like this band?
Yeah.
And he's like, so then we just format we just formatted the entire like past 12 hours of content of us traveling, getting there, going here, doing that, doing this, just to not look like idiots in front of this band.
Oh my God.
And then record this interview and just go, man, what are we going to do? Like,
it must have been for a really good band. Is that?
I don't remember. I actually don't remember who the band was, but I think
that's dedication. If you're looking for a brand partner, Fairbairn Films.
And anyway, and I just think it was just like, oh God. But that's a small piece of the puzzle.
You get to meet Crumbin?
Nah, I haven't met Crumbin yet.
One day.
But yeah, I think this was it was about.
There was respect on like content creators at this point, but it's probably nothing like what it is now, right? Like it's a lot crazier now. But
I feel like it's like back then. It's like there was less people. Like it was before this TikTok. It was before this TikTok. Like TikTok was around, but there was not like.
Wait, TikTok was around like.
Yeah, I do recall in like 2019 making like some random shitty TikToks, but But there was like you could count on one hand like the amount of famous TikTokers, but now it's ridiculous. Like it's just been blown out of proportion. Yeah. Everybody's like got an audience and is like an influencer, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So there was way more respect on like a YouTube channel that had an audience.
Right.
So I think in a way it's actually got
the opposite then.
Opposite.
Yeah.
I feel like now you have to be so much bigger to have any like sort of
it's crazy. Like TikTokers will have 100K and compare themselves to a YouTube channel with 100K. And it's like those are very different things. Very different.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of TikTok accounts that have like 2 million followers, but they drive a Honda. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like I like
they'll take a free hoodie. You know what I mean?
You can't create. There's no like sustainable living business off an account that has a couple million followers on TikTok. Like you'd think so, but some of the people like. Yeah, you might just pop off for like a viral clip.
Yeah.
I'm saying as someone that's coming outside from the outside looking in, but like it seems that way that at least with the groups that you've worked with, there's a core, loyal, cult-like fan base that are willing to follow you guys into whatever content ideas you're doing, or that's infinitely valuable. Like, because that's why you guys have this thing. That's why you guys have grog and people want to buy a drink of yours. If there was a TikToker that had 2 million followers and they got it all in the last month and they released a drink, probably would have like no sales, right?
Yeah.
So what did your parents think?
I was lucky because the whole thing with Lachie and Jackson, like their come up, and I was like just an accessory to that, hanging around, always telling them about what's going on. Like
just a little leech.
That kind, that kind of like my town, the people in my town, my family, kind of were like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't like me going cold, like, hey, mum and dad, look, I'm doing this YouTube thing. Like, what the fuck is that? like that kind of soft launched the idea of this being a thing, and them seeing like the guys in the news and the this and the that, like all these different mainstream things of Lachie and Jackson. It kind of like validated it to people like my family.
Okay.
That by the time I was like, oh yeah, sorry, like dad, I'm not doing this thing anymore. I'm gonna work for Lachie and Jackson and get paid. It's like, oh, sick. Like they knew that it was a viable thing and that like it made sense. That's an interesting question I've had like asked before. Like, and I'm like, yeah, well, like I kind of got to see the beta test happen, and then I just kind of was there, and then it was like, okay, now I will like, float up and become a part of this thing. Like, and a different also like thing that comes from that is just seeing this whole world so closely, but from the sidelines. I feel like I experienced, not like they did anything wrong ever, but like I saw these two people that I was very close with, like get, for lack of a better word, like, famous, like, grow a following and see and observe that and learn from that and like know what that does to people and how you react. And then all of a sudden,
I'm assuming you've met so many of these creators now, and some of them have probably gone the other way, right? Like, well, not to name names, but there's some people that probably have.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a difficult thing, I guess, to talk about. But I just think like I got so much value from being so close to these guys as they were like, my close school friends growing up in this world and becoming, these names.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I only got, injected into that when I started, showing my face in the videos and being in it more. And then after 2 years of that, it was like, oh, people slowly are starting to recognize me from the videos now.
Yeah.
But it's like, I like kind of just observed what that does to you and kind of like came at it from a very different angle of like, oh, I know what, like, I know I'm expecting this. I'm expecting this feeling. I'm expecting this thing to happen.
These annoying things.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty valuable, unique thing that's come from my path in this whole like world of like, being the guy right there, like just like right in the sidelines. Like I remember when they went on the Today Show, like I was there just like,
oh wow.
I remember when Lachie got the call about that he's going on like this show and then the project wants to go into, and we were driving back from Adelaide, like, and he was like, oh yeah, and like just being so involved in this, but so not involved in it that like nobody knows, but I know everything that's like going on. It's kind of cool to like be in that close to something like that.
But then you started being in the videos and you act like people love you. Like you're a good guy, but also like people really love you. You showed me one time, there was like a video where you made an appearance back in the Fairbairn Films, and all the comments were like, Darcy. It was like thousands of comments all about Darcy.
Yeah, this comment joke started when I was in the video still, like, because I would put a t-shirt on my head and I would be a female character, or I would.
So did you invent that?
No, I think I feel like Jimmy Jackson, from my memory, he's the first person I remember seeing do that for like a female character.
Because like Drewski does that now.
Okay, yeah. I don't know who invented it, but it definitely wasn't us. But so I think people would say Darcy did such a good job acting as this, acting as the mum, acting as the girlfriend, acting as this. Then it turned into if I was not in a video, because I wouldn't be in every video. Lachie would write a script, and maybe it only worked for 2 people.
Yeah.
People would say, Darcy did such a good job acting as that chair, as a joke, like, oh, he wasn't in this one.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
But he was good. This thing. And then it just devolved into, oh my God, like years after.
That's so good.
Like years after not being in a single video, every video, like without any word of a lie, there's like comments that say Darcy's acting as this, like literally 2 years after even being in these videos, and like Lachie and Jackson, I still like look at comments and it's just like, I go to any video and it's like, there's bound to be at least 1 or 2 that are like, Darcy's as this. And it's just like crazy to have that like weird thing just existing after you. Like it's like a legacy. It feels like a legacy living on, which is kind of cool. And it gives me hope that like, Lachie and Jackson want to start a podcasting of their own up again.
Yeah.
Like we used to have a podcast. And I can go onto that and like we can have a reunion.
Just come back in.
And it's like people aren't like, who's this guy? It's like most people like
they
still acknowledge my existence in their path of things, which is cool.
And it's kind of like a good, I guess on the fan, like, and you're saying it with cold ones, I assume, like all the inside jokes, but also it's like knowing about maybe there was a little Easter egg in one of the earlier videos and you're in it, and like the new fans don't get it. You know what I mean? And then they're going to be like, oh, what's this Darcy fucking joke? You know, and it like makes them more, you know, engaged.
Yeah.
And then actually the first time I think I saw your face, and I didn't know it was you, was, I don't know, we haven't talked about this maybe, but I was watching, well, in the office, we were watching the Ice Poseidon stream when they were here at PAX. So there's a Twitch streamer that was live streaming IRL at a gaming convention. And you like went up in the stream. But when you went into the stream, all the live stream comments, like, you know, there's hundreds, they all started going like, Darcy. Like, you went on a random stream and people know who you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because that was a crazy moment because everybody was always watching, what are they doing in Melbourne? Oh my God. Like, it was just surreal to see those people in our environment. And I was like, I just want to go and just say something. Like, something in me was just like, I'll go say good day and whatever. And then, I was just playing it cool. And then all of a sudden, Ice Poseidon's like, wait, Darcy, like, why is everybody knowing? I'm like,
that's a really good impression.
What the?
I remember him saying that.
I found the photo. I'll send it to the group chat.
Oh, you've got a little screen grab of him on the stream. But that's how I initially saw you. We could probably go into, I'm assuming, so you did all the, you know, videos with Fairbairn, and then that was coming to an end. I'm assuming this is how you guys, because you guys work together now.
Every damn day.
Now, so you went on to start working with the YouTuber group Cold Ones. And did you start working with them and then you joined, or were you there before?
Darcy was there for like a year.
I was there.
Oh, so you were there way earlier on. And so, what happened? Why did you
How'd you switch over?
Yeah, what happened to switch over?
So I'll backtrack a little bit to give more context as to like actual valuable lesson as to how I got to here. Which is because, so through my own YouTube channel, like, the Fairbairn Film stuff was my job and it was fulfilling and it was fun and all this stuff. But everybody always has that itch inside, like, what am I going to do for myself? What can I do that I'm responsible for this? I'm not just like, my friends got successful and they gave me a job to help them out. So that was the whole thing of making my own YouTube videos on the side, something I always had a passion for and did that. So I did that on the side off and on for ever since like I got back from my first season at the Snow. The first ever, before I was making any money from that, just by my videos being out there, I remember I got contacted by this guy that owned a pub in Adelaide and wanted to pay me X amount of money, like a couple $100 or whatever, to every Saturday night go to one of their pub nights and be like the MC / do these drunk interviews.
What? Okay.
So that was the first.
Did they also want you to make like videos there, or just do the MC?
No, so we recorded these videos where I would interview people and they would edit it. Like they would edit it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it would be like I would be at this night. The start of my night would be I have an iPad and I go around and people put song requests in, and then I do a bunch of different stuff. I'm just trying to remember everything involved.
And you just rock up on your own, like
I would just drive like an hour and 20.
This is a brand deal.
Well,
it is. It's just because it's for a pub, but that's a brand deal, right?
This was more like a personality. I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't have a following. Like I didn't have a big following.
Like you were kind of like almost like a UGC person.
I think of it more as it was like this person saw who my personality is and was like, I want this guy to work for me in doing this.
Oh, that's special juice.
It wasn't my following or my name. It was just my being. Yes, this is the key thing that was like the first step in my like opening my eyes to how this world can work. Of like, you know, the linear line of you make a YouTube channel, it's like, oh, got to make money, got to grow, got to get AdSense, get views, get all this stuff. But I realized like, wait, within like a few months, I've already got my big break. I thought it was a big break back then, but little did I know, you know, I was like, oh, all I had to do was put myself out there and the right person see it and an opportunity come to me. Yeah. So that was when my whole mindset on everything shifted to like, oh, you know, me making these YouTube videos, like maybe getting 1,000 views per video, but like one of those people has an opportunity. Yeah. So it turned into like, rather than like, oh, only 1,000 views, man, I'm not going to make any AdSense from that, whatever. To like, oh, I got a real life opportunity. Like, like this is, and I remember this thought, it's stupid now, but I remember this thought like, oh, it's all paid off. Like, I was like, yeah, all of this work is now not for nothing. It's this, the big break has happened. This is my life now. Yeah. Little did I know, it was like, you know, that
the beginning.
I'm going to be the pub MC I always wanted to be.
Yeah, well, it was a very short-lived thing, but it really was like very confidence filling as to like, this thing doesn't need to be successful to be successful. Like,
and also you got that opportunity from how long, like how many hours, you know what I mean? If you put in another year, who knows what comes out of it.
Gave you the motivation to go like, you know what, I might keep going here.
Yeah.
And your channel was, so at this point you weren't getting a lot of subscribers, but your channel did start growing, right? Like
What's it at now, subs?
I think like 110.
And you haven't uploaded in
No, I haven't uploaded in a while.
Would you ever go back to uploading on your own
I would
channel?
love to, yeah, because there's something about that you miss. But right now, it's like my time is so much more valuable.
And you get a lot of views, and like your most of your videos like a couple million, it's like 2-3 million.
Yeah,
views,
this stupid little video. I hate. It's always the case. Your most popular thing is like that ain't me, bro. But sorry. So yeah, basically like this whole little taster of the right person seeing your thing, and getting a real life opportunity is kind of like. Then the Cold Ones thing was like the big angle of that. So one day I got a message out of nowhere from Scott from Cold Ones. Just was basically like, hey, we like what you do, as in they've seen my personal videos and the creativity that's in that. We're wondering maybe there's like a world where you could help us out.
Would there have been a bit of Fairbairn sprinkled in there? Like maybe that's how they found you? Or?
Oh yeah, so definitely 100% because I had met Chad a few years ago briefly when Lachlan and Jackson were in Melbourne doing a tour. And we went to their office.
I think I watched that video, and then like you went to like a gamer bar.
Yeah. So that definitely got me on the radar. And then it was my own YouTube videos that was like, oh, this is who this guy is, and this is his skills and whatnot. Obviously, it's easy to analyze it from now and be like all these things. Who knows actually how it all panned out and whatnot. But basically, just like a message. And I remember like I was at like a pretty sort of lower point of like, man, is this it? Like. This is it. This has been the run. We had such a good run. Like, I remember like there was just all these things lined up to this date that I was like, if things haven't like improved, I'm just going to go back to like get a real job and go. This YouTube thing was fun. Like, not like things were going poorly, but I just needed more. I needed
a bit of a hit, you know?
Yeah, I needed to feel like I was doing something. Yeah. When you just go from like your mates from school hanging around making videos, it's sick. Like it's sick, but like you feel like, man, what have I like done? Like, I'm just like sort of coasting, kind of just.
Were
doing
you like also comparing yourself to other people? Like this is you're probably at the age, or you probably when you're doing this, you're at the age where I don't know, people are probably finishing uni, they're getting jobs and stuff, and you're probably thinking like, oh, I'm doing my thing, but then like, oh shit, did I miss out on potentially like that stable career path? Because you took a risk here.
Yeah.
And you're like, am I behind other people?
Yeah. It definitely is like hard to explain what you do as a job. Is like making like to everybody, it's like, oh, these goofy little YouTube videos. Like, oh, how long is that going to last? So that definitely infiltrated my brain a bit. But I was just like, it just was weird how perfectly it all worked out that I was like, man, I just need that next opportunity. What is it going to be? Yeah. And then, this message popped up and that snowballed everything into action. Whereas all of a sudden, like, maybe 6 or 8 months after that message, or it would have been it was exactly like 6 months. I was like in Melbourne, like staying here for like a month, then moving here. Then it was like, that was it. Right. It was like no turning back. Like, whoa, it worked too perfect. Lachlan and Jackson had a trip to America booked that I wasn't going on. So I was going to just be bumming around for 2 months. Yeah. And in those 2 months was when I was like, okay, Chad, like, what if you, like, we spoke about getting me an Airbnb for a month so I could just come and try out what working with them is like. Yeah. So I remember feeling so like, this is it. Like, I literally have nothing to lose. If I'm not doing this, I'm at home just making my own videos, messing around because Lachlan and Jackson are away. I'm like, I remember just being like, this could be like the next thing, like crazy. Yeah. But obviously it's like difficult to have to close a door to open the next one. Like, I still am extremely good friends with Lachlan and Jackson, which is great. Like, there's no like bad blood or anything there. Like, wasn't like I'm leaving, fuck you. Like, like they were, in a way, they were also like super, super stoked for me to create my own path. Like, because there's a lot of pressure, especially from Lockie. Like, he's in charge of this whole operation. All of a sudden, he's like responsible for my salary, well, not my salary, but my living.
Your living, your career, like it's attached to them. Yeah.
So like that adds pressure to him. So I think he was like, oh, this is cool. Like, you get an option to, do something different and pave your own path, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's a weird, overwhelming, like, whole entire story to try and speak accurately.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different times and feelings and different things. And I hate, one thing I do hate about this whole world is like, whatever I say now, however it comes across, that's how it was. Like, but it's like, if you can't quite like put into words exactly how you're feeling, you kind of just ramble, and then you're like, well, I guess that's what people are going to have to think how it all sort of played out. But that's just this world. But Lachie and Jackson also made a video where they like explained, because I never posted or said anything. This has just all happened.
Yeah, everyone's like, what happened?
All of a sudden, it's 2 years later. It's just like, dude, that was such a big thing in my head. I was like, I need to like post a video and explain this stuff. Like, and I went through such, not a dark period, but like a period of like just like locked. Like, I need to put something out there. Like, how am I going to explain this? Like, I need to make this video. This explain what happened. But I never ended up doing it. And
you can do one of those like, I'm sorry.
I actually did. I did post something, and then I took it down a bit later because I was like, oh, this is just weird. It was just like a very off the cuff thing. Anyway, Lachie and Jackson had posted a thing saying like, oh yeah, Darcy's going to work on Cold Ones, and what their new direction with things were and whatnot. So people kind of knew, but a lot of people didn't know. And even now, I think occasionally some people watch a Cold Ones for the first time. They're like, oh, if they were like a Fairbairn fan, they're like, oh, that's that guy. What is he doing here?
So was the plan for you to be in content as well?
I did not think that was not what it was going to be until the day I got there to start filming this first video I had prepared. And they're like, oh, why don't you just put a mic on and you deliver the stuff? And I was like, oh, and if you watch that, the first video is the first ever Shark Tank products video that Cold Ones did.
Oh, you're into a lot.
Is the first video that I'm like on camera. And if you watch that and me, my mannerisms, my talking compared to like the last video that I'm like on screen producer for, it's like wild, the difference. Because I remember like this world to me, I was like, man, I do not deserve to be here, bro. Like this is crazy. Like I'm just like,
because they'd built like a real fucking empire. Max, Chad, and then Scott was in it a little bit. And then,
So how big were they when you joined?
Oh, like 2.5 mil. Like it hasn't.
So they had millions of followers. And
it was a it was a beyond well established
crazy audience.
Thing.
Like, and Chad and Max have been around for 10 years or something.
Yeah, definitely. Like I haven't played any role in any growth, or I've just kind of come along and made it stretch out a bit longer, like fill in the roles where like people, make it just last a little bit longer, just that little bit of a kick of a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of brain to just.
Well, I remember, did you come on that hike that we did? Well, we went on a trip, we went on a little vacation a while back, and I remember you telling me, it sounds like a lot, some of the work you do, some of it's pretty stressful. We have to like constantly think of video ideas.
Yeah, okay.
And like, that's like, your contribution is pretty big there when what's the upload schedule like? It's pretty is it not frantic or?
Yeah, the upload schedule is pretty all over the place because editing is a big unknown, something could take longer than others and whatever. But we try to film at least every week something. Yeah. Sometimes we're substituting like doing just Patreon stuff if we're not doing a main channel video every week. But I think like on average it's probably like every second week like a main channel video is filmed. Every other week some bonus Patreon stuff is filmed. But the whole thing with it is like the ideas are one thing. Like everybody discusses ideas and has ideas, but it's like going from a sentence to a Cold Ones video that is my job. Is like that's
what a producer does. It's like you have to make it happen.
That's the process.
So just some ideas, it's like one verse, $10,000 alcohol challenge, or whatever it is, and it's like. And you actually start breaking it all down and you're like, this is going to suck.
Yeah, especially like for like Cold Ones videos are notoriously a lot going on. Like there's a high standard as to how much stuff is in it.
Yeah.
Like to keep Chad and Max like interested the whole thing and all this stuff. Like there's so many ideas that are a great idea. I'm like, but it just is not enough substance to be like a Cold Ones video. Like, so it's like, okay, how can we make that a segment in a different, bigger idea or whatever?
I'm assuming you've like gone through with a video and you've gotten all the things, and you've organized everything in the shooting days, and you're like towards the end, you're like, this is like not that great, right?
I've seen Darcy when he's like, ooh, I'm not sure if this one's gonna work.
Yeah, they're definitely. Luckily, like nothing has had to be completely scrapped that I've been involved in, which is a good.
That's a job. Yeah.
Like that's a good
job well done.
Like what's it called? Ratio, win-to-loss ratio, whatever.
Yeah.
But there definitely is times where I'm like, this is a bigger gamble, like because like basically like all I'm doing when I'm working on a thing is envisioning how like playing this video out of my head. Okay, sit down. This is the first thing. Chad and Max might say this or do this, so they might say this, so I should have this prepared. You know, try to envision how this thing is going to go out and be as prepared as I can. But it's unpredictable what they're going to act like, do, want to do, whatever.
Yeah.
But there definitely is some that it's like way more of a gamble on, is this going to be a full video? Is this going to be entertaining? Whatever. And I am a bit just like on edge, like, or something doesn't go well and it will like stick with me. Like, I should have, if only I knew to do this thing.
And Chad and Max are quite honest with them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They'll be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, next thing.
It's brutal. Like, I could think this one thing is the greatest idea of all time, or the greatest product, or the greatest thing, or twist, or whatever, and they just brush past. And then all of a sudden, this thing that was a filler to me, they're like, this is sick, and they're like obsessed with it.
It turns into like a huge
It's
meme.
like someone that like records an album and they think one song is going to be a hit song, and it's something else completely takes over.
Yeah.
And you know, I've watched Darcy, because our office has 2 floors, and most of like the computer work gets done upstairs, and on the bottom it's like the podcast studio, the Cold One set, and then Darcy's workshop. And he'll have to like, so there was like
Darcy's workshop.
Darcy's workshop. He's got like a little dad's garage. Explain how you met Noah.
Oh, is this a funny story?
This is fucked.
Is this how?
This was Darcy trying to monetize his
Did you used to
fucking-
rent your Instagram bio?
Yeah.
And Noah was the first. Okay, yeah. Let's
So,
what's the story?
So yeah, like during probably the 2019, 2020, 2021 kind of period of time, where I was exploring in different kinds of things, had a little bit of an Instagram following, and I was doing this page called First Try, where I would do a bunch of trick shots, but only upload the first attempt until I would
Right.
Did you get one?
And then until I got one in the first try, then I killed the page.
Right.
So took like 100 and something.
Experimental, artsy type.
Yeah.
I feel like that would pop up. When did you do? What year did you do?
Yeah,
that?
like 2019. I think,
that would go crazy.
I know,
now.
yeah. I know, it's fuck. Anyway,
Bring it back.
You know, you can't. It should optimize every. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Maybe we should do that in the office. Let's do a first try every day.
Yeah, we could. Anyway,
Second try.
Let me just say one thing that I hate about the position I'm in is there's endless opportunities. It's like my brain is constantly like, you could do this, you should do this, you should do that, and it is like debilitating. Like just having like no other thing holding you back other than just you could do all these things, but you're not.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a sidetrack.
Yeah, you get a couple red cups and a ping pong ball and a camera on a tripod.
And because I spent so much time with this guy who's just is a wealth of ideas. You should do this, you should do that. I'm like, you're right, I should. Why am I not doing all this stuff? Oh God, I'm a failure. I should be doing all this. Anyway, so had that page. Noah ended up being like
Noah, the founder of Shuffle.
ended up being like a bit of a fan on that page, and occasionally would message me things or whatnot. It just so happened that when I got the trick shot, I cut. It was like this rope. I threw a dart through the rope, and then the dart landed on the board, and the rope stayed on the thing. Anyway, I cut the rope into 5 key rings, and I had 5 stickers made, and I chose my 5 fans that interacted the most through the whole life of this thing, and I sent them, and one of them happened to be Noah.
What?
Yeah. How fucking insane is that?
So you didn't know him at all. He didn't know you.
Nah. So he started messaging me
is
through that,
insane.
and I was just like, oh yeah, cool, like just this guy. Then he started like appearing in my Twitch streams and stuff, and would like be like, how much to play with you? And I was like, oh, I don't do that. Like, sorry, bro.
How much to play?
Sorry. Like how much to join my game?
How much to tickle you?
Like would like donate like some
Show me your feet.
would like donate some weird amounts of money, and I'm like, oh, who's this guy? But not enough to be like suspicious.
Yeah.
But the big thing is, I had this idea. I was like, man, my Instagram bio, I got 10,000 followers. My Instagram bio is such a wasted real estate. I'm going to rent it out. I'm going to create a price list based on how many words, if words are a website, a business name, a name, this or that, a phone
So
number.
smart,
And
yeah.
I made this whole price list of, hey, rent my bio. Whatever it is, this is how I'll add it up. Like, you know, a website is $10. You know, a name is per this, and then every letter is this dollar. So like, it was just way too complex. And then times by X amount of hours or days or whatever.
More people should do this.
Yeah, maybe it's a good
It's
idea.
a smart idea.
Anyway, so like a few people did a few random things for like someone would like do something for like a couple of hours or something and whatever and get the screenshot. And all of a sudden one day I get this message that's like, how much for Noah Dummett for 1 week? And I was like, and I remember it was $120.
Yeah.
And I remember doing the math like, oh, listen, man, that's, you know, a name
Big flexer.
plus X amount of letters over a week. Like that's $120. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, it's like, cool. PayPal. I'm like, and
you're
I'm
like, I feel bad,
it's
man.
so
Yeah.
funny. I felt horrible because I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh yeah, here's my PayPal. I was like, I was like, not. I was thinking that this guy was not. I was like, who pays someone $120?
Like this is just some kind of sad fan.
To me at that point, like that was like a lot of money. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God. And I remember, all of a sudden I got the PayPal notification, like $120. I was like, bro, I like, this is like half a joke. Like I can send that back to you. Like that's a lot of money. Like you don't need to do this. He's like, nah, it's chill, bro. I'm like, dude, are you sure? I'm like, all right, man. And I was like, all right. And I remember recording the exact time. I was like, I got to give this guy exactly what he paid for. So I changed my Instagram bio to just say no, dumb it. And for a week straight, it was that. And then I didn't think anything of it. I thought, man, this guy's crazy. He must have just like, I don't know, worked overtime at his whatever job or something and got this extra cut and doesn't care or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like fast forward a few years or a year maybe. One night I get a call from Danny Raka.
Yeah.
And he's at whatever thing. He's like, Darcy. He's like, I'm here with your friend Noah. I'm like, Noah? I'm like, I don't know a Noah, bro. All this shit.
Yeah.
And then I think he messaged me or we started messaging again or something. And it kind of, I was like, what are you doing with these people? Like, why are you with these YouTube people?
Yeah.
Like, it just did not make sense at all for so long. It racked my brain.
Was this before Talk to Me?
Oh yeah.
This is way before? Okay,
Yeah. This is like, 2021 maybe.
He would have
like,
gotten in
or
there through
sooner.
Misfits or something.
Yeah.
or-
It was a Misfits thing, which I don't know if we want to. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, it kind of came out. I just slowly, the pieces started falling into the puzzle. I'm like, oh, Noah's also like friends with Chad and Max and this and that. And then when I remember when I moved here, it was actually the first time I ever met him was the first time I ever met Ed. When I'd been working at Cold Once for a few months, we're in this new office. They were talking about this drink.
What?
And they wanted me, for whatever reason, involved in these meetings, which is another interesting thing of how I've somehow been like pretty heavily, I would say, involved
in the whole thing.
in this business, just going from being involved in this other aspect of the business. But anyway, that was the first time I met Noah. I knew who he was and come in and then we just got along well
That's
regardless.
crazy. So Noah was a fan.
Yeah.
That's
Number one
Which is
fan.
quite funny. I don't know, maybe he won't like that story, but anyway.
No, he told me to ask you about that story.
Okay.
So that reminds me. There's this guy in the UK. I'll get my dates wrong and everything, but his name was Alex 2, and he started a thing called the $1 Million Homepage, right?
Yeah.
And he was at uni. I think he was like literally 21, and he's like, I want to make $1 million this month. How do I do it? Like, I don't want to work. Fuck this. And he makes a blank web page with 1 million pixels on it, and you paid $1 per pixel for advertising. And his idea was that the idea itself would get some kind of buzz. You know what I mean? It's like, look at the guy renting out his Instagram bio. It's like, this is ridiculous.
This is it on the screen right now.
And
This looks like Reddit r/place.
this is like, it's literally, and this was in like 2004 or something,
Yeah,
right?
wow.
This is fucking ages ago. And anyway, I think he got, friends and family to buy a little pixel here and there. And then he woke up the next day and it was in the news. And it was like, this 21-year-old uni student is selling $1 million worth of ad space on the internet. What an idiot kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then the more people talked about it, the more the value of the advertising went up, the more visits it got. And, and I think it used to have
You
a
can see some
counter of
companies
visits.
in there that bought more than one pixel. So let's say they're buying like
good
5,000 pixels. They would pay him $5,000.
And then lots of casinos. I think there are a couple of porn sites in there. Yeah, it was a bit dirty, but he got his $1 million in a month.
Yeah.
And he's 21 years old. That is crazy. What a smart. That's your idea. What you did. You did like a new age version of that, where you're like, I'm gonna rent out like a per letter
letters in my
on
bio.
Yeah. That is the exact same thing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then he ended up going on. He tried making like a lottery version. He called the $1 million lotto, where if you buy a pixel, you can win the whole million, like whatever it was.
Oh.
And then they kind of just fell off, and then he kind of like went into obscurity. And then he came out probably 2015, I think. I might be wrong. And then he founded Calm, the meditation app, which is now worth like, he's probably
Couple
worth
$1 billion.
couple bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. Very interesting entrepreneur, that guy.
Wow.
So
and
you're on that path.
Ed, you had an idea for us to do something like that.
So what we're doing, you guys watching on YouTube, I just pointed at you. This table, we're going to measure it.
Oh.
And we're going to cut it into, equal sized portions. And we'll print out stickers. However, we'll stick
Has
on.
to be. It can't be like, or can it be? Can't be.
We
like,
will put whatever on this table, as long as it's not kind of hate speech or probably can't do nudity because of YouTube. But
it can't be demonetizable.
you print us something. I don't know, maybe $10 will be size of this or something. And this is going to be the $1 million table from the Underqualified podcast.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we're going to do that. So if it's your brand, your face, your name,
anything that would make sure it's legible on the table.
That's not the most prime real estate though. Like I'm thinking more like
$1 million wall.
$1 million wall.
That could be sick.
Actually, that's probably better.
The problem is, what if you're like one of the poor people that gets their logo here?
well, that's less. That's worth less. Like it gets seen when you you move, but it's like that could almost be like free, like or
These
like
are the
$1.
ideas
Whereas like
flowing through right
bang
now.
that is like
Maybe it
especially
starts
this
above our
handsome
head.
face.
Yeah.
I know, to make it equal for everyone.
You could just flesh out like
We'll just do a little
An
sticky
outline.
tape on the wall.
Yeah.
We can maybe Grog can buy a little bit of real estate.
Yeah.
Noah can buy his name.
Oh,
He'll buy his name.
Noah
He'll just buy the
would
whole
buy
fucking thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I might buy my name for like the full circle moment of like
yeah,
I like that.
yeah, that'd be cool.
And also
Let me
for
know.
context, everyone, Darcy, if he shifts that way, can see Noah right now, which is why it's kind of
Is Noah watching us? No.
maybe.
He's just sitting there?
It's just a very weird. I feel like that'd be a weird for you. It's like this. At one point, this was some random Instagram profile.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is crazy.
Now
Oh,
we're
dude,
all so
I mean-
intertwined.
this. I will say like the past like obviously the past 2 years and my moving to Melbourne and taking this job and all this stuff has been insane. But past like 6 to 8 months has been like when it's gone from like this moving stage to like this like, oh, I feel like an established person in this world.
Yeah.
Like even just down to the fact of obviously we interact with a bunch of different other people in our space, like different creators, different people that work for other creators. Like, and it was such a tricky moment when you just interjected into this and you're just the guy that comes with the guy.
And you learn the kind of like, oh yeah, we don't speak to them.
Yeah.
This happened with this guy, that's why I'm not that close with him. And
But yeah, in the last like 6 to 8 months, it has very, very strongly become I am like people know me for me, and like it's like, oh, Darcy. It's like, and that is like the most like empowering thing I think I've experienced through the whole lot is just to be like people like know what I do. People know what I do. People like know who I am, which is sick. Like it's not like people watching a screen when you have an audience, but it's like real people in this industry, in this world, even in adjacent industries that we like all sort of know. All these people are connected in a way, which is sick, which is like just comes from like my presence in the videos and whatnot. It shows enough of me and it shows enough of like my work, and it just is a good balance where people like respect me for like what I can do for this thing.
Yeah.
And that is by far like the greatest thing that has ever come out of this whole move or transition is just like that knowing, like people knowing and me knowing like, oh yeah, this is me. This is like, I'm doing what I should be doing and it feels right and it's like going well and people respect that. People respect me and people trust my opinions and my knowledge and like, and that's like the most valuable thing to come out
I think
of
it comes because like obviously when you meet people for the first time, you're sussing everyone out, but then everyone's like, no, Darcy's really smart, he's really interesting, he's good to hang out with, and like we go bouldering together, like and it's like Darcy's just Darcy, it's like a friend, and it's good to hang out with you.
Yeah,
it's cool to hear that because you were just talking about before when you were leaving Fairbairn or when you started doing your own stuff, like you're trying to find your identity, like your place in the world, and you've taken a lot of risks, and it's worked out pretty well for you. But like this is like pretty inspiring for people like a bit younger or like people that are going through that stage of they didn't take the conventional path and they probably feel a bit down where they're trying to do what you're doing, or and this is like a real life example of you played the cards and you put the work in and. You're a good dude along the way, and it's worked out really well. And now, like hearing you say that, you feel like you found your place in the world. That's really cool.
Yeah,
and you should be really proud of yourself and everything you've done because that's awesome.
It's hard to look back and acknowledge it like that, and like I said, be proud of yourself. But it is pretty sick. But it's also like a lot of the paths out there are people that want to be in this world. It's like, make a TikTok and get 1 million followers and do this. It's like, but I think I show a different side to things of like how you can have a fulfilling career path in this world that isn't that traditional, even though it's not traditional, but that traditional way you build your own audience and you do all this stuff. Like you can be creating videos or whatever your thing is, music, whatever you do, you can do that at a high quality just because you like doing it and someone can notice that. And you can join a team.
You had a really niche set of skills, especially with the cold ones thing. Like you could make really well edited videos with that specific format as well. And you understood their humor and all that kind of stuff. And then also you can sit in on Grog business meetings. You can advise on marketing for an alcohol company. But that's just because you kind of get it.
Yeah, which is a bizarre position to be in where I'm like, I don't know why I'm so involved in like, I use the word trusted in these things, but I just am. And it just,
and it kind of works. It's like, actually, yeah, good idea, Darcy. Let's do it.
Yeah, kind of just works. So yeah,
I love the skill sets you have. They're like they're hard to copy. Like, so for example, if you're someone that goes to university and, you know, you're being taught the same thing that like, you know, 100,000 other people are being taught. And so you're going to all have the same sort of skill set. So when you get into a job, you're pretty replaceable in that aspect. But with you, you've done you've built unique skill sets of this thing here and this thing here and blah, blah, blah. So like that's what makes you, Darcy, as a person so valuable. Is because like you are like a very hard thing
because you're really
to replace.
Like I guess with working and Yaz, my girlfriend who met Darcy, she's had a similar thing with her work where it's like you're almost trying to create a unique story for yourself where you show yourself as, it's not so unique as it's like, oh yeah, I was barefoot in Mexico and did nothing for 3 months and then I just like, you know, fucked around as a barista here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're trying to like, you're still doing stuff and striving, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, I went to uni and got a really amazing average mark. I did this, then everyone's got that path. Whereas you've kicked crazy goals. Like you've run millions of subscriber YouTube channels and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, tick, Darcy's good at his job, but it's this fucking really interesting story as well.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it shows that you've kind of followed what you actually want to do as opposed to that, like you copped uni for 3 weeks. I copped it for 2.5 years and I fucking hate it the whole time. But I'm like, no, my parents will know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You're 3 weeks and you're like, no, I want to do it.
A really good, I don't know if it's a skill or like intuition you have, but I think what you're really good, like, and one of the things you're really good at is you didn't cop it, like you said, like you copped it for 2-3 years. You're like 3 weeks in, you're like, this is not for me. I'm going, and like you have like this bias for action. You're like, I'm going to do like the same thing with when you decided, you know what, I'm going to start making YouTube videos and putting myself out there. It's like so many people wouldn't do that. Like,
you're going against like, first thing, oh, I'm not going to make a YouTube video because, oh, it's not going to make me money or people are going to say it's stupid or this or that. Same with uni. Oh, no, but this is why I did year 12 and got a good ATAR to get me into this fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to remember that it's so hard to quantify that you have done these out there things and made these decisions because it like just feels so normal. It just feels like whatever. And then sometimes you stop and you think like, oh, am I making myself outside of my comfort zone? Am I taking enough risks or whatever? But then you stop and think, and when you have a conversation about your own position, you're like, oh yeah, like what am I?
You kind of think about
what am I thinking? Like, bro, what have I got to worry about? Like I've like, you know, things have worked out great, and I have done these like taking these risks and these things
because like you're probably thinking back on it now and. When you were doing it in that moment, you didn't view it as you just did it. You didn't view it as a risk. But when you like, if you actually lay out your story and some of the stuff you said, it's pretty fucking crazy.
Because I would consider like I'm not a risk taker. Like I didn't move to Melbourne and hope that I got this job. I made sure it was locked in that I was gonna have a salary that would cover me being able to pay rent and have this money and this and that. Like so that's where I guess in my head like I don't feel like a risk taker because I make sure shit is not gonna backfire. But in a way, I guess in the long term, it still is a risky.
But as you get like older and you get more established in your career, you have the trade off of you take a little bit less risk.
Yeah.
Because the initial risk of not working for a salary and just working on brand deals. You know, when you're not established, it's like you have to. You just have to do what you have to do, and then like then you had some footing. You had your own YouTube channel and blah blah blah. So now you're like, okay, like I know what I'm worth now. I need this locked in. So. Like you still took a risk. I think this is still like a pretty nascent industry. Like it's not that there's still like a lot of people. I'm guessing like we talked about it in the first episode with you. You're talking to the alcohol executives. Like they still don't get it. Like they're still being like, is your audience really going to buy this?
Still don't to this
day.
They
still turn it to this day. So I'd like it's still really early. And I mean for you, I still like you're still at the beginning of what you're going to do in your career, and like you've done so much already. But I think you're going to go on to do. 100 times bigger things and things that you enjoy and love and with all these people.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy is that like we do these things and they're really simple now. Like I send a message to customer support at a fucking alcohol delivery company, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And you just like, you kind of put yourself out there and do it. And then, so you've done that a couple of times now.
Yeah.
And you've had a crack. And then I think now you kind of settle in again and you're like, oh, like what's next? You know, like if it's a 5-year thing, right? What's next? But you think about it and how many interesting, useful people that you could potentially work for or work with have watched you in a Cold Ones episode and gone, I want Darcy.
You've leveled up your character now where when you say, what's next? You have a lot more opportunities and a lot more access to different people. Have you thought about like, maybe your life right now is pretty hectic and you're just thinking about next week's video, next week's event, blah, blah, blah. But is this, you love what you're doing and you want to, this is the chapter you're in now. What is like, do you have an idea of what's next or are you still just doing what you're doing?
I feel like for me is that I know that Cold Ones, like the guys, that group, that's like, I want to see them out until the end of when they decide it's done.
Right.
Like I feel like they've been really good to me. I feel like I said, I feel all these positive things that have come out of doing this.
Yeah.
So, and then just after that, I just think I'm ready for a bit of like an art arc, like an arc of like creating stuff just for the sake of it.
I'll join you on that one.
Yeah. Cause that is like where it all began.
Yeah.
Like, just making videos for the fun of it. Like, and then all this other stuff gets in the way. You got to do that to sort of, make your living and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think about what's next too much because I feel so like,
you're so immersed in what you're doing now.
What's next to me? What's next is in the hands of these guys that I'm trusting.
Yeah.
Like that I like being involved in what they're doing and know that I've shown enough of my skill set and my drive and my whatever to prove that I deserve a position in whatever they want to do next or however they want to change the business or whatnot. That I'm kind of just like at the mercy of that, but like happy of that. But there's no real like what's next. Besides, just recuperating a bit of like what has been lost in the hectic working so hard and all this over the past few years to just do something that's like slows down a bit and then might slow down for a few years and do something artsy and see what happens and then all of a sudden another opportunity, who knows? But like in this world specifically, like literally in the time sitting here, my phone, there could be an opportunity could be sitting there. You never know when it's going to be. So that's what keeps me going is like, who knows? I do not know. Tomorrow, the next day, in a month, in a year, in 2 years, I could get an email, a message, a call that is that next opportunity. Like I got this message from Scott in like 2022. Like it just, that's what keeps me going is it's like, you don't know when it's going to be, but if you're happy with what you're doing, like that will happen. It will just sort of
keep putting in the work, keep putting yourself out there. And then like there's like this wide cast, like you're just casting out wide, like all these potential opportunities and maybe you meet someone and they talk about you to someone else and and you just don't know how can they come back.
Also the big thing is that like it's not like I'm doing all this stuff for
you're not doing it on purpose. It's just
and that's the beauty of it is like I'm doing this stuff because it just feels right and whatever. But it's like those things coming as like just a bonus is when it's actually worth it. Like, but when that's your goal, like I gotta get show myself in Cold Ones so that the next guy is watching and I can get into this next thing. That
it's not calculated.
If you're kind of honest, like we've done with everything, it's just this honest thing of like I wanted to make YouTube videos that turned into this thing. Do I want to go do that? Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
And Cold Ones, you're like, am I liking this? Yes, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to manage this sort of stuff. I think obviously in business it maybe is a bit different. Like I feel like people need to be a bit more, in the early stages, hungry and, penetrating their way into these things and these environments and this stuff to get out there. And business is so much more of a dog eat dog world, I guess.
Yeah.
But in what I'm doing, it's more of an art than a business.
You are an artist. Like this, I mean, the first try thing was like a nice little art project. Like, and then what you want to potentially do next after you see this, you kind of pass through. I'm really excited to see like what you get up to. Like, and then that's what's for. We talked about this maybe last episode where I agree that I think creating art or doing something a bit more peaceful that's not like so hectic to a schedule. That's like the most fulfilling thing you could do. That's going to make you feel like you have some sort of purpose in this world.
Yeah.
Because you're not bounded by all these by money or timelines or whatever. You're just kind of following what as cliche as it sounds, but what like your heart.
Literally.
You're listening to your intuition of what you want to do. Can we just quickly touch on what the hell? I'm joking. How did you? How did you start saying these are? These are Darcy. Wait, by the way, do you do this in videos or is it only like with your friends?
It literally is random. I don't know. Sometimes
it's actually like a tick.
in some videos, I'll say like I remember vividly this art video we did. I kept saying, "Oh hell nah," and then the editor just used every single one. Like, so it was just like every second I was like, "Oh hell nah," I was like, "Oh hell nah," like when Max or Chad is like doing something a bit outrageous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I have a bad tendency where I pick up on things and then overuse them. Sometimes, like I don't even like. I know that
we're so
I'm
bad
joking.
with like literally.
Yeah. Like I'm joking is from that Netflix show and like Chad, and someone starts saying it and then I just start saying it and then like what the hell? I don't even know. I don't actually know where that comes from. Like the what the hell? But I would like to know because if I stole it from someone, I would like to at least be honest about
You
that.
created that for us.
These are Darcy's like
catchphrases.
Catchphrases. That's right. That's what I said that time.
If you had a Darcy soundboard,
I think it's like a way of just when you're uncomfortable. It's like you just say a thing a bit goofy. It's like it's an instant like like when I roll.
Noah asked
do you ever
to
just
pay
like
to touch Darcy, and he says, "What the hell?"
Like I think.
Do you ever just like sit around and it's silent and then it like just ticks and you go, "What the?"
No, it's more so like when I come into this office for the first time today and I walk in and it's like, okay, what does a human do? Hey, hi, how you going? But I walk in and I go, what the hell? This face is fucking like it just is like.
that was the first thing I heard. I was like, "Oh, that's
yeah, it just is like an instant like I don't know, just get comfortable and just whatever like. Set the tone, I guess. I don't know.
No, we love it. I just want to know a bit about the law.
I don't know.
Do you watch the videos that you're on back?
I do, yeah. And I love watching them. I have no issue watching that. But that's because it's never like me. It's like it's a piece. It's something I've created, but this is me, which is weird.
This entire episode's about you,
which is weird. Like it's a weird concept to comprehend.
Well, a lot of people love you, so I'm assuming a lot of people want to know more about you. Because you don't do any like you said, you don't do any personal content, right? All the content you do is like you're reacting to something or you're in a skit or something like that.
And even if I do, when I was doing like personal stuff, I don't really like talk about myself. It's just like do the thing or here's the thing. But so I hope that it comes across right. Like okay.
No, I think it was good, nice, wholesome episode. And there were some good stories in there.
Every man and their dog is starting a podcast, but you guys have
unfortunately.
You guys have got a good flow and a good like model as to why this exists and a good direction to take it in with people that have this thing in common of being, not qualified for what they've ended up doing. So I was happy to And obviously, me and Ed spent a lot of time together. We goof around a bit, so I knew.
And we're praying for Andre. This is
pray for Andre. Yeah,
pray for Andre. I genuinely wish he recovers well and takes his time to heal and comes back brand new man.
He's getting a BBL.
He's getting a for people that haven't listened to the previous episodes, he said he's getting a BBL. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Is there anything that's coming up in the near term that you guys are excited about?
What's happening? Like with Grog, we've got a new product launching in a couple of weeks, which would
like a new flavor?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it is? We'll bleep it out. That's an interesting combination. That's just launched in New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand's fucking, they're crazy over there, man. They absolutely, they drink so much. There's 10 times less of them and they've drunk the same amount as Australians in the first month.
Whoa. See, okay. That's insane. You tell me these stats about New Zealand and US and there's a real growth story to grow.
New Zealand's unbelievable. I think it's also like, we're very lucky with some weird distribution agreements over there with like Coca-Cola means that they can't have 196s there. Because of some weird distribution agreement. So it means there's way less competition for us. And, the whole kind of idea of Japanese hard soda, people like it. And there's just one less in the fridge, like a real major big boy, not in the fridge there.
Right.
So I think we're winning because of that.
When's the next poker game that we will do?
I
remember because last time you and Chad, and you were there as well.
Did you end up winning or losing?
Nope.
Chad lost as well.
I think you guys all lost. And I was up a lot for a bit. Remember
David
when I was
won like $3,000?
Yeah, no, I was up like $1,000 or $2,000 and then David took it all from me.
Damn, bro.
And we've got a photo. I might tuck it up on the screen.
I was in a dark place. I was at like $50 left and I was like, fuck. And then I built up to like 300, thank God.
So we'll probably have another poker game. And then when are we going camping?
I want to do that.
We have this camping
this weekend,
trip.
honestly.
I don't know about this weekend. That's like tomorrow.
Next weekend?
Yeah, maybe next weekend.
Maybe next weekend or the week after next weekend.
In town this weekend that I forgot about, but
damn, you live a crazy life, man. This is,
man, I really don't want to be that guy, but I sometimes.
No, but you legitimately do live such a pretty crazy life with the work you do.
Crazy party last week. What else?
Yeah, it is.
Traveling.
It is so weird life how like whatever you're in is just not what it looks like it is like in your own head.
Yeah.
Like you kind
of live it.
Yeah.
And then Yeah.
Anyway, this has been a very philosophical, I don't even know. I can't even talk anymore.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Darcy, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching.